And hello everyone, and welcome back to this series, 218 Top 50s. And today I have a little surprise for you guys, seeing as this is our first dual episode where we have both N64 Koopa Troopa Beach and Thwomp, which we'll see later. I decided to do this since I am planning to do this series now on a weekly basis instead of whenever I get a top 50. So, starting hopefully every Sunday or Monday, I will post one of these with my current PBs and the top 50s I've managed to get over this course of time. But today I want to start with a little bit of a fun fact regarding N64 Koopa Troopa Beach, because I know it's not a track everyone plays, but it's interesting in the sense that at least I'm pretty sure it has the record for the most number of different vehicles in the tops. What do I mean by this? Well, if you look at the rankings, you have Carter, which is BKT with Auto Spear. In fourth place, you have Doge, which has Dolphin Dasher BKT at fourth place, and at seventh place, you have Magic Cruiser. So you have three different vehicles in the top 10, which makes this a bit more interesting, actually, seeing as every single vehicle has slightly different lines and ways to play the track, especially Autosphere for obvious reasons. Those who have seen Peach Gardens BKTs know exactly how weird that looks. And finally, at 15th place, we got Reese. Expect to see that guy a lot in the series, especially on tracks, on non-Flame Runner tracks. He tends to have a lot of Flame Runner BKTs on those kinds of tracks. So yeah, we're just going to hop in, and I'm going to show you how to drive this track on a non-intended vehicle. Alright, and here we go. So unfortunately, I do not have my live reaction for this, seeing as I wasn't expecting it to get top 50 as quickly, but it doesn't really matter since live reaction is not really needed for this. So the thing that you need to understand about this map and about a couple others that will follow later in the series that also have off-road in such a similar manner is that you have to use it to your advantage. What do I mean by this? Well, simply considering how slippery the road is in general, what you'll want to do is that you'll want to it'll be easier to see a bit later, actually. So yeah, around here, for example, you want to end your MT a bit earlier than you usually would. For example, see, if this was a normal track, you would release your MT around here to get the wheelie down this road and then continue drifting and just go on. But on tracks like these, you want to release your MT a bit earlier, for example, around here. And the reason why you want to do this is simply because if I just let this rip, you will see that it shows a bit later. Here's the best example. So here I release my MT here. The reason for this is that my line will, from the slippery road, will keep going a bit further to the right from where my drift momentum is before stabilizing back up. So it allows me to release my mini turbo earlier and to get the wheelie speed for as long as I possibly can. There you go. See, I go all around this entire wall and keep wheelie for as long as possible until I go back in again. And I just keep this principle going. Here, I release. You also see that I'm releasing a bit further aligning a bit further to the left than I should be. But it's fine just because of the slipperiness that allows me to realign easier. It's a concept that you pretty much have to follow, especially throughout the entire first half of the map, especially. You will have to keep releasing your MTs earlier, like around here, 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 and no, okay, the last one is not needed. But yeah, around these points, you will need to release your MTs earlier in order to take advantage of the off-road that covers the entire track. And here we come to the shroom cut, which is actually, well, obviously it's easy, but there's a little trick to it. It's similar to DJ, where you want to shroom earlier than you want to, around, from what I recall, or somewhere around like here, maybe even earlier. And the reason for that is simply because you want most of your shroom boost to be on the sand, where it will be most effective, where there will be a bigger difference in speed. And but you still want just enough shroom boost so that you still have enough height to land on the other side. So if I show this, I will shroom around here. There you go, and you see I gained just a little bit of time on the ghost by doing that, just by managing to use most of my shroom boost in the off-road. And here we follow a similar principle, where you want to be here you want to get as high of a trick as possible in order to land really late into the tunnel, so that you have to deal with less of the off-road in general. Here you can start a drift in the off-road, which allows you to get a good alignment going into here after this trick, just wheelie. And here you full-on drift, and here is where I mostly fuck up. You want to exit the ramp as soon as possible. So you want to hard drift left and exit the ramp around here. You can trick off this, but it allows you to get low air around the side of this little shell, which will net you some time. Unfortunately, I mess up all 3 laps of this. I tend to not get off the ramp as soon as I should. Here is another example of releasing your anti earlier. You'll release it around here in order to make it around the edge and just straight up wheelie towards the end. Important little factor, the water doesn't slow you as much as it would look, so it's fine to go into it in this ending straight in order to keep a straight line as much as possible, not have to wheelie turn. But of course you have to be careful of these crabs. This cheeky little bastard tends to land right in front of the line, so you'll have to readjust, and this one lands around here. So the correct line is usually just to try and get in between them. It's not as easy as it sounds. It's really, you'll have to adapt to it. It's the easiest way I can describe it. And yeah, that's the time in 41 seconds and 387 milliseconds. Now, if we're talking about the time needed to get this top 50, that's the funny part, is that top 50 on this is actually somewhat easy, depending on how easily you can beat the Staff Ghost. A Staff Ghost is a 2-4-7-4-5, and top 50 Flame Runner on this is 2-4-5-7-5. So if you beat the ESG by 0.3 or higher, you will get it. It's mostly dependent on just your lines in general, and trying to understand the whole concept of releasing your empties earlier in order to make it through. So yeah, I'll just show you the entire run to show this concept further, and then we'll just have to go straight back into Thwomp. And I'll use this opportunity between our 2 little top 50s to talk about some of the PBs I managed to get between those 2. So I've gotten a Piranha Plant Pipeline, finally getting sub 2, getting the ESG in the process. I've gotten a Spectral Station, also PB by going for ESG, but most importantly, I've gotten 2 times that are extremely close to top 50 and are bound to be maybe either the next ones you'll see or that are bound to come out soon. Medieval Castle Grounds, which I have been grinding for quite a bit, and that is honestly way more fun to TT than I would have anticipated, and Alone and Incomplete. And to understand why this one in particular hurts, I think this clip speaks for it best.
Get it! Get it! Get it! Get it! Get it! Get it! Get that bag! Get it!
Get that bag!
Get it! Do it! Get it! You got this! You
Woo!
get it!
Let's
Get
go!
it!
Let's go, finally! Wait, actually, hold up.
New
No!
record!
No, it's not even that! Fuck, I'm like 0.01 off! Okay, I'm not playing that track anymore. I'm 0.01 off. Like,
oh,
not...
honey.
Okay, yeah, I'm playing another track, fuck this. And for our second time of this little episode, we've gone Thwomp, which was actually a suggestion made by Mush, my teammate, which, not gonna lie, I absolutely despise him for it because this map was horrendous to TT. As a matter of fact, funnily enough, this is the first time I've gotten was top 50, but simply because I've spent a lot of time just getting the time in and of itself because of how annoying the map is to TT, most importantly because of the first turn skip that I will describe in depth with the replay now. And we are back for the analysis of Thwomp. So, how to describe this track? Well, it's really tech heavy, but it's not tech heavy in the sense that, for example, Banish to Keep is, where you can usually most of the tech is pretty lenient. Once you learn how to properly do it, you can get it at it from a lot of angles and feels more consistent. This is hell. A lot of most of the strats here require really tight setups, and just overall, the geometry is pretty whack. It's like the best way I can describe it, really. I'll give more example as we go along. The start of it is honestly pretty fine. The start of it's just drive tight, keep it simple, drive tight at that torch. You can go under that Thwomp. For the record, that Thwomp has never been an issue a single time, no matter the lap throughout any of my runs. Maybe if you're slow or fast enough, but it really didn't feel as if it was even there. So we keep going, we just wheelie here so we can't get an empty mini turbo, and the first mini trick that you're gonna have to learn here, which I do fuck up in this run, lap 1 at least, is you want to release an MT here and then go into slip drift immediately around that patch of grass so that you can keep 97 speed going into the first little tech of this map, which unfortunately I fail here. But if you start wheelie earlier, you should be at 97 going into it. And here is the worst part of the track for me. Plain and simple, this is where 90% of my resets were, at least it felt like it. This turn skip. It is not worth going for in an actual run, I will tell you that much. The only reason why I went for it is because of top 50 is pretty much necessary for that. But it saves like 0.2 max, it's still 0.6 per race. So it sounds fine, but it's way too inconsistent to be good. The idea is that you want to start wide, then drift into the line here, and TF off to land on the other side. The problem is that the geometry around this little curve is absolute hell. Sometimes you just get sent down, sometimes you just get sent way too far to either side and it becomes impossible to recover. Obviously you won't see it in this run, but trust me, this is where most of your resets will occur. So that's where proper attempt looks like. You start wide, go tight, then TF here, release your MT midair, land, and you're not done yet. This second part can also be hell. You have to drift into this, then drift left as tight as you can to go off the ramp. But more often than not, you will either end up going really far to the right, at the start at least. You will either end up going way too far to the right, or you will bonk against this wall that's conveniently hidden by this little bush. So if I start it, you will see, so I just drift left, and here, this wall will be your worst nightmare. You will hit it constantly when starting, I can tell you that much. But even then, usually you want to be as tight as you can, so that you can go straight, but it's fine if you go a bit further to the right. As you will see, I don't lose that much time on Thunder going for this. I lose maybe 0.1, 0.2 at most. Here you really reset after the boost pad to keep 97 speed going into this turn. For this little turn right here, you might want to do a mini TF, which I do here, because you can bonk here if you're not if you try and cut too tight. So doing a mini TF over it can be worth it if you feel like you're too tight going into it. MT, just drift here, no point in going for an MT. It's way too short before the boost pad. And here is the second tech, which feels, funnily enough, a bit more consistent. So once again, you want to start wide, drift late, and then drift really tight going into the little platform that'll allow you to do a little shroomless turn skip. You hard drift right, then release your MT, wheelie off, you will land onto that block and just trick off, and there you go. This ramp can be a bit weird. Sometimes you get a trick, just a stun trick if you trick too late and just trick off this. It does only happen to me once, but it has happened. You can also get a really Mickey Mouse low trick where you just trick really close to the ground, but it's complete another RNG. Well, technically it's QM, so it's not total RNG, but you get my point. And the rest of the thing is pretty easy. And the last bit of inconsistency of this map comes right here. Once again, you want to shroom early so that you don't want to have too much shroom boost going into the last two corners because your alignment will be absolutely whack with it. So you start your drift relatively early, you soft drift, and you pray that you stick here. Sometimes you won't, as the case here, and sometimes you will. It feels RNG. It feels like total RNG. So you release your MT, get back into it, MT again, release your MT later than you think. Because sometimes releasing your MT early here will just send you in a really weird line going to the left and forces realignment. So don't hesitate to release your MT a bit later than you anticipate. And here you go. This is a 43.974 lap, which is considering that top 50 is at 212.3. That is actually more than enough. But the issue is that seeing the inconsistency on this track, a sub 44 lap is not always guaranteed, and you will see the lap 3 of this run. The ending is absolutely horrendous, and I end up losing 0.4 on this, so I barely beat top 50 by 0.1. So I might have to grind this at the end of the series, but either way, I'm just gonna let you guys enjoy that last replay, and see you guys later.